All right. Well, here we are.
We're here with
What's going on, Matt?
Hey, doing good, guys.
It's his birthday today.
Matt's big 4-0. Happy birthday to Matt.
Crazy. Great timing.
Yeah. Hey,
So
we had
where
no
should
idea.
we,
Well, we're here at
start
All American
off, yeah.
Taxidermy.
right,
And it's in Harvard. Matt's a taxidermist.
right.
There's a couple of his pieces in the shot.
Yeah, we
like
got a
this
baboon.
majestic baboon.
Yeah, that's my favorite here. Got a bear. What is that? A
Pig there.
just a pig.
A little bit of everything here.
Yeah. Got all
Stuff from
kinds of
all
stuff.
over. Yeah.
All legal, of course.
You gotta be
for sure.
halfway to a biologist by now.
Yeah.
Getting there, man. Getting there. Pretty much worked on pretty much everything the last 15 years, damn near.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was gonna say.
man.
So you've been at it for 15 years.
Yeah, going on 16. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And you started here.
Yeah, I started in Harvard. I worked out of my house for probably 10 years. Then we had like a pole barn out back, 30 by 40. Outgrew that, and then like within like a couple years, outgrew that. And then Dad bought this place here in the industrial park, and been out of this the last 5 years. So yeah,
Looking around, it
That's
takes up
what's
a
up.
lot of space.
a lot of space. There's a lot of maintenance. You got to make sure things are kept at like a climate controlled
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah.
So
Okay. So you gotta like control the humidity, the heat, every aspect.
yeah, and then
What about lighting? Does that like fade color or anything?
it can, like, yeah, like a couple museums where they had stuff under like fluorescent lighting, even though it was like sealed off with glass. And like over the last whatever 50, 60 years, that UV light slowly
diminished.
bleached the hair on these things. So everyone's switching to LEDs now, basically.
Those seem like the better option in general.
Oh
these
yeah,
days.
yeah. Well, yeah. All these lights here, these were regular fluorescent tubing, but bulbs would be burning out every other month,
Yep.
and then I'm like, screw it, I'm gonna get these
Right.
LED ones. I haven't had one burn out. It's been like 3 years.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, that's way better. I'm sure that's a big pain in the ass getting up there 20 feet to change those
Dude,
too.
yeah, that wasn't me doing that.
That's fair.
Someone else doing that for me.
Understandable, man.
But needless to say, I mean, doesn't mean I'm not up on a freaking ladder or something like that, hanging up stuff for certain clients or
Oh yeah.
whatever.
Do you actually like hang them in clients' houses ever, or is that kind of a
Yeah,
thing?
this one, like, gosh, one of the worst ones was like we had this big Cape Buffalo mount that hung up on the wall, and this thing was like heavy. You need like 3 guys just to like lift it up
Oh, shit.
comfortably. Like 2 guys could probably do it,
But it's just
like
really
a short
heavy and
distance.
cumbersome.
Yeah, it's big, probably sticks out, a good 4 feet from the nose out to the wall.
Wow.
And so this guy, where the heck were we? It was like Palatine area or whatever. So like, he had a guy he called some like a Mr. Handyman service, right? And we're there, and it was just all. I'll never do this again. This was just nuts. It was like a thing where like, dude was up. 25 feet up in the air on like one of those like extension ladders, right?
What the hell were you guys
And then there was
hanging?
another, his buddy there helping him on another like one of those, right? And it had to be centered perfectly on his fireplace. So what they ended up doing was there was no stud that went in the middle of where this fireplace was. So they had to like move a
cross
stud,
beam,
cross thing, tie into 2 studs, right? And then I'm up there. I'm just kind of like really like positioning stuff, but like, shit, I think from by my feet to the floor is like 15 feet. I mean, I was up like that freaking high, dude.
Wow. And this is this.
And like,
house?
and like we're all carrying this stuff up the damn ladder. I'm like, this is freaking insane. So like, I'm up there, and then like the trick is like in the back of the mount there, you got the like the hole or the bracket where the leg screw goes in to hold the dang thing up. Dude,
How do
I don't know. I won't do it. I don't think it can be done again.
Hey,
First and last
it was hanging when you left.
It
so.
happened, and like this dude, I mean, he went much bigger than me. He was like grunting all the weight. He was like on top. He might have been on top of like a really tall A-frame. I don't know, but he was like straddling this thing and like holding this thing up like the whole time. The other guy was like, it was crazy, dude. I was just like, this is nuts, man.
And then if you drop it, then
if you drop it, I think someone would have died that day. Or hospital for sure. The mount would have been destroyed.
It should be a way to go, death by buffalo.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Killed by buffalo.
I'd rather have like a live one kill me than a dead one.
Right. Got me in the afterlife, damn it.
Yeah, I know, right? But it happens.
Was that
man.
some dude's house or what was it?
Yeah,
like
it's a dude's house. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, he's got it
It's a
made.
nice
He just
place.
single guy, lives by himself. He don't got wife or kids to worry about, and does what he wants when he wants, and
Wanted that.
I guess
how
that's
he
what happens
wants.
when you
Yeah,
run it that way.
exactly.
Huh? You end up mounting Cape Buffalo in your fireplace.
Yeah. So
The variety of stuff you do is really impressive. I don't know
thank
how
you,
it
man.
works in the taxidermy industry. I'm sure people do a variety of stuff, but I just imagine every animal takes its own specialty, and you have to get to know. Every aspect.
100%. Like this is not something you're gonna learn overnight. I mean, like you could probably learn certain things.
Yeah, like doing like whitetail or something. Or
Yeah, but
little
even like
aspects of it.
Yeah, even like a whitetail, if you're not used to it, like you kind of think like they're all like the same, but they're all slightly different. And then when you get into the whitetail forms, I mean, you can have them, just certain poses or just certain sizes. You got to really know like what you're doing, like measuring like the skin so that they'll fit the form. And sometimes it ain't, so you got to know how to alter that form to make that fit the skin and stuff too.
Do you want to explain the process roughly, real quick?
Yeah, like in a nutshell, like someone comes in, usually they give me a call, and then they come over. Usually like if it's like a deer, it's already been like skinned out by like the butcher processing place. If not, we can skin it out here. But first stop, we get it skinned off the face. Everything's salted, salt dried. So it's like salt drying stuff's like temporary preservation of that skin, right? So you don't have to like freeze it or anything like that. So like if you go hunting out of country, they do that there too. Like whether you're down in Mexico or Africa, you salt dry the skins, right? And then once the skin's salt dried, you basically reconstitute it back in water, kind of like freeze dried food, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then once that's reconstituted back to where it's flexible, like as if it was skinned back off that animal, right? We stick that in a pickled brine solution, okay? And then it stays in that solution. Then it could stay in that solution for years, basically. So it's like, think like your jar of pickles, right? Even if you take the lid off of it, like, and put it back on, like you can still eat those pickles like months later. Or years if you really wanted to, right? Depends how hungry you are. But so it's kind of along those lines. But in each thing, like you can dive into it more. But once it hits that pickling stage, that's where we got to shave the skin down real thin. Because some of these hides can be real thick. Even like a deer hide's a good 1/4 inch thick.
Wow.
But if you don't shave that down to like say like in the 1/8 inch thick, you're not going to have a good stretch with that skin over the mannequins. Just a lot of, you can't get like the details out of it and whatnot.
So you want the
it's
thinnest
not
layer of
pliable.
skin.
Yeah, without like cutting holes or without cutting through like the hair roots underneath type of thing. And each thing's different. Each thing's different.
Right, every animal's gonna be a little different. For
Yeah.
Sure.
When you're putting in the salt brine, does it stay in form, or is it like laid out flat?
It can lay out, however, kind of like figure like a t-shirt laying around in like a bathtub full of water or something like that.
Just suspended there.
Yeah, and some skins sink to the bottom. Other skins want to float up. Other skins, say if we didn't get it rehydrated fully all the way, they might we can stick them in the pickling solution, and it'll kind of rehydrate a little bit more, but the salt content in the pickling solution kind of prohibits that from like a full-on rehydration mold. But
so that's another important
yeah,
step.
so I mean, like, there's little tricks to the trade with certain skins, how you got to do this or that. But you can always take something that hasn't fully rehydrated in the pickling solution, mix up a different solution, get it to relax more, or it could be a thing where, like, okay, we got to shave down this outer layer of skin, because some of these hides, I mean, they could be 1.5 inches thick. I mean, it's crazy.
Insane.
Yeah.
What's got like the thickest skins that you've seen?
Man, I've worked on elephant skin, I've worked on giraffe, I've worked on, like, those are some of the bigger ones. Here in the U.S., I would say like a bull bison, American buffalo, and it's usually like the head part on those. I mean, they can be pretty thick.
Wow. I guess that makes sense.
So you take out the eyes in that case when it comes to that.
Oh yeah, you don't need eyes. So like there's actually like companies, like, all they do is like glass eyes for certain species, and some stuff's interchangeable, like it's just a dark eye, or it's a medium brown eye, or a lighter colored eye. So like certain species, like say like a red hartebeest, like same color eye as an elk. Different size, but if you get a smaller elk in, you could use the same size eye,
Right.
but you just bump it up or
interchangeable.
Is that basic process the same with every animal then, whether it's a fish or a turkey?
Well,
Like,
fish
you're
is
talking
totally different.
more so deer, right?
Yeah, I would say like the big thing is like there's a basic way of doing things, and then in this industry, like there's literally like 10 different ways to achieve the end goal. And like us as like taxidermists, I mean, there's guys out there that can carve something out of a block of foam, and it's crazy. They just have that skill. They have that talent. Other people don't have that.
Yeah, because that's what you were saying last time, kind of moving along with the process, is that once you have the skin and the brine, then it goes on like a mold, right?
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
like
it's
white
test
tails.
fitting basically.
So it's like a basic mold. It's like general sizes, and then you have to.
Yeah. So like, well, now I mean they've been making all these molds off of like clay sculptures of certain animals like baboon or bear. So like an artist, like technically they have like the skeletal structure, right? And then they build the muscles off of that using clay, or maybe they bulk it up with foam or something first, right?
Sure.
But they're basically sculpting a form is what it is. And then they'll make a fiberglass mold, and then they cast it out of 2-part foam. So the foam's nice because you can add more foam in areas, or you can shave it down a little easier. Back in the day before foam, there was fiberglass, so that was like a real pain to
shade
to make the forms certain sizes or certain poses.
And you don't make the molds. You get them.
No, I mean we might make a few here this next year, but it's just you gotta like for like an in-house thing, it would have to be a thing where like you're gonna be getting 30 of this same type of thing to make it worthwhile.
Oh, so it's like a batch thing.
Yeah, so like if you're only gonna get like half dozen baboons, or so, it's just no point.
You might do like a mold
Doesn't
for
really
deer,
work out
maybe.
logistics-wise.
Yeah, you could do one for deer, but then again, like, like with these deer hunters, I got, some guys, they want a different turn. And even if you have a different turn, you might have most of them. Yeah, I mean, for the most part, we know that you're going to get like something that's been in rut where the neck's swelled up a little bit, and it's a older, more mature deer, basically. But then you get like the oddballs where it's, the kid's first deer, or maybe it's like, it got in this different part of the country where the deer, this is as big as they're really gonna get.
Right.
It's
just different baskets where they're coming from.
Yeah, and they got it priced to where, for what you got to pay for it. Even if I had the mold here, you'd still have to have someone like waxing the mold, pouring the foam, locking the thing back up, having the certain pieces of wood screwed inside there. Because on like a shoulder mount, there's a wood panel on the back that you staple the skin around, and then where you like install your hangers and stuff like that.
Okay.
So it's not all just foam on the back. So there's.
So that's pretty common then. It's like stapled along the back then.
Yeah. It's just what's always been done. I mean, I've seen some crazy stuff where guys used to use like big roofing nails or something like that, but we just use like an air stapler. It's common practice. I mean, some guys get like too fancy. Maybe they cover the whole damn thing in felt or something after they staple it, but it's on the wall. You got to think of it as like a picture frame artwork, canvas. Like you want me to spend more time screwing around on the back side that you're never gonna see, or all the stuff up front.
Yeah.
Yep.
So these mold companies make molds for everything. Basically, you can find a mold for any.
Damn near. And if you can't, there's like some weird oddball species out there, or maybe it's like a juvenile species or whatever. That if you can't find that, then you might figure out, okay, I can get something that's kind of closely related. And then if I have the skull, then I can kind of shape that. And if you ain't got that, then you just kind of look at pictures of the live animal, and then you kind of, in your mind's eye, shape over that. But at the end of the day, the skin is gonna tell you what's going on when it's over the form. Because like on all these animals, it's like like people have like maybe a colic on their head or something like that, right? But like on these animals, they have hair patterns where something comes out of their armpit a certain way, or certain ways where the hair goes this direction around the horns or the antlers, or down the sides of their face, or something like that, right?
Just kind of a unique.
And then when I put something on there, I can kind of see like, oh, okay, this is what the skin's telling me. And even though say everything works out, but it might be like, hey, the skin's telling me like, yes, the distance from the eye to nose fits good, but it's got this it had like a Roman nose or something going on here where we got to fill it out, or maybe and then you just do that accordingly.
The skin is like differently stretchy and different follicles, and
it's a lot of that stuff. The big thing is guys want their stuff as big as possible, so that goes back into like the shaving of the skins down as thin as possible. And then even when all that's done, you got to stretch those skins back out, but you don't want to overstretch stuff. You want to make sure everything fits nice. You don't want to show the form underneath of the mount, basically. Definitely. Yeah, and then, I mean, there's like, dude, this business, I've seen a lot of crazy stuff. It's probably like electricians, when they start wiring a house, they don't know what the hell they're gonna get into, and then they see the stuff going on or whatever. But taxidermy can be like that,
Sounds like an art, to some degree.
Oh, certainly.
Yeah, and then I got that like wooden deer head there though, but that's probably like 100 years old. That's what they did before anything else. They whittled something out of a log or whatever. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
I imagine it's changed a lot, probably the last 100 years.
I think so. I think like with birds, I think birds haven't changed that much, to be honest, because
how do those kind of go?
Well, back in the day, people used to like wrap bodies for them and stuff. Some guys still do that now, but now it's the same thing as a little foam form for the body, and then you have wires and foam material and clay.
So like spreading them out and
stuff. Yeah, it's different.
Is that an albino pheasant, man?
Yeah, it's like some kind
of
of
like that.
Kind of weird game farm deal. It's just they get these like designer pheasants now in all these damn colors, and maybe it's like something new get. Like guys like, yeah, I shot something a pheasant. It's just a pheasant, but here's a white one. Okay, well,
domesticated
we'll go after that
pheasant
one.
Almost or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Is that kind of like that other blue one over there?
Yeah, it's like
a tone,
like a melanastic type thing, kind of like an all black type deal. That's a pretty bird though.
Definitely.
Yeah.
How do fish work? Is that a whole nother ballgame?
Yeah, no, it's
It's still like skin and
form. you skin it out, and there's certain tools used to kind of scrape the meat off the skin, and certain fish need to be handled a little more delicately than others because of scale loss and stuff. But same thing, you can buy a form for the fish, or you can carve one out of foam.
You were telling us the last time you have to color them sometimes, or always?
Pretty much all the time. Yeah, that's a hard part. I mean, there's some very phenomenal guys out there like doing some really, really amazing stuff
like
now.
Scale by scale kind of thing.
Oh yeah, like we're talking OCD on another level. I mean, they get paid well for it, but even with that price, I don't know how they make money, because it would just take for freaking ever, dude.
Yeah. Like months for a fish type stuff.
Yeah, so like, you got what are the categories? Fish heads, bird brains. The mammal guys are the only ones that are about as normal as possible. But I mean, like in the world of taxidermy, you got some interesting characters, different personalities. Half of them are, they got that artistic thing about them, but a lot of them are kind of flaky. It's weird.
Sure, I believe that.
I wish it wasn't the case, but it's what it is. I never planned on getting in this industry at all.
No?
If you can call it that. It's just
what did you
want
to
just
do?
Happened. Well, like I guess like as a kid, like I went around like all these museums with my dad, and it was kind of interesting, like the Field or Milwaukee or whatever. But like everyone as a kid, they like dinosaurs and stuff like that. So, but I always liked going out west. Dad would take us on trips or whatnot. We'd find like fossils or whatnot of whatever. It could be anything, or arrowheads, and that's kind of cool. So like, I wanted to get a degree in geology to kind of do that. But it's kind of, and that's probably what's going on now. It's like, I'm not sure how your parents are, but like this, you got this boomer generation where they beat in like all their kids' heads, like, you got to go to college,
Yep.
right?
Be a doctor, lawyer.
Yeah, or whatever. And I would only do that if you need to be a doctor or lawyer or a teacher, right?
Something specific.
Yeah, some stuff, like if you want to be an engineer or something, I think you have to do certain things. But the funny thing was, I got a degree in geology, and I get out, and there's like really no jobs or nothing that I don't really want to test water levels in some creek or whatever,
You wanted to like go find fossils
or whatever. Yeah, but that's the awakening, right? Like you realize, like, man, like none of these jobs are available, and if they are, you're groomed from someone and that position is held for the next 30 some years, that kind of stuff. And even then, those guys don't make that great of money. It's just something that they found that they enjoy doing,
and
right?
Lucky
And
enough
they
to be
get
able
by
to do
doing
it.
that, right? And taxidermy, I believe, also is that kind of same way. Just like as like guys like these hunting outfitters and guides right now, same thing. And those guys, like with this damn shutdown bullshit. You got like Canada, right? Like their spring bear season opens up here in like 3 months, right? End of May, first week or two of June, right? And you have all these guys from the U.S. traveling up to Canada with different bear outfitters, right? And then like the fishing will start up soon after that, like in June, right? All these fishing resorts and all these lakes and everything, and the stuff shut down. You can't get in, and these guys are going to go on 2 years in a row. And I don't think they can hang in there. Their operation, it's similar to taxidermy, probably like other small businesses, where you need that revolving door of like
Constant
cash flow coming in.
Yeah.
Right?
Can't just sit closed for 2 years.
Especially
No
as a
one can.
guide,
No.
like I don't think too many people are gonna do it.
Yeah, these
too
guys ain't
regularly.
making millions off of stuff. I mean, like some of the places might be doing pretty damn good, and maybe they got like some really high-end investors to where they can manage the storm.
Right.
If it's like a smaller operation that says like, I would say the bulk of it, like, say they take in like, say a small operation maybe takes in like 10 bear hunters, right? At like $3,000 a pop or whatever that is, right? So they spend all this time, baiting the sites, because these bears wake up out of hibernation, they ain't eat nothing for like the last 5-6 months, right? So the first thing they want to do is like eat something, right? And it's, they just need this this money so they can hire help, because not really it's a kind of seasonal help. They'll get some other couple other people helping out, baiting sites, getting the cabins and stuff ready for their American hunters to use, right? And then say once bear season's over, they may have some sort of side gig where, if it's a little bit bigger place, maybe they have horses, right? So they do maybe trail rides during the summer, or little camping or fishing excursions, right? And then in the fall, maybe it goes into, depending where they're at, maybe they do some elk hunting or deer hunting type scenario, or moose, right? And then depending where they're at, they could do mountain lion hunting like in December, January. Right?
Oh, really? That late, huh?
Yeah. But it really depends on like what province you go up there and everything. Like some of what all I hit on was like British Columbia. They pretty much got a lot going on there. You go like Ontario, it's going to be black bear and fishing. That's it for the most part.
Gotcha.
And other areas like Alberta could be more like deer, elk, moose, that kind of thing.
Seems like something like that is as socially distanced as you get, pretty much. If
Oh.
you're just out in the middle of nowhere. But
No, 100%. I mean, you could drive, guys can drive there, cross the border, do it. You don't have to fly. It's not a big deal there.
And these places are still closed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah, I've talked to a couple people that had like actually family up there that even owned like a resort, like immediate family. We're talking like, dad or whatever. And I mean, it was hell for them just to get up there, right? And then like once they were up there, they're like, yeah, you're not leaving this place type of thing. They were like on lockdown there, to where I don't know what kind of trouble they would have got if they were like in town for something. I don't know. It's just weird.
Yeah.
It's just weird.
That is really goofy. I would have never even lent a thought to, what those guys are doing these days.
Oh, yeah. A lot of stuff. I mean, like locally, stuff shouldn't have been like so suppressed between like, certain businesses, like the restaurants and bars, obviously.
Oh, yeah. I
But
agree
like
with that.
other stuff, like, these countries or certain areas, like some of the stuff's just so travel dependent, man. And it takes like people from the U.S. or maybe, a few other people from other countries to go there and visit and do stuff, and then nothing.
Right, you're cutting off a lot of income for a lot.
Seems a little goofy to keep the mega stores open, but not allow you to be in the middle of nowhere, Alberta, Canada.
Right, with,
exactly.
one hunting guide.
Yeah. So like, everyone's like worried about like, health and, you got to wear the mask and stuff like that. I'm pretty damn sure I had the damn thing a year ago. Before they even like shut things down or whatever. I think half the country probably had it. But I think that a lot of it's just like the government trying to make it look like they're doing something, right? But I mean, there's science, and then you have like junk science, and you have all sorts of other stuff involved in it. But like, it's really got to make you question, right? Because like, you can go in any damn Walmart, right? And some of the most unhealthiest people work at Walmart. No offense, like.
Oh yeah, no, it's true.
Very old, very overweight, just like it's the type of people like I would scan and I'd see like, okay, yeah, if you caught it, I mean, like, I don't see you making it out of this thing, right? And here they are, employed at minimum wage for maybe insurance purposes or who knows what, right? And if this thing was such like this devastating thing, like, this is nuts.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
But
especially back in the beginning when they were shutting stuff down because they were enacting some of that stuff, but you could still go to your major box retailers, at least in our area, and you didn't even have to wear a mask back then, too.
Right.
Right. So the order of operations seemed questionable.
Too many hypocritical things happen, right? And it's got to make you question like this whole situation, like in like so many ways, right?
100%.
But what I believe, I think it's just kind of a thing where we're probably entering like some sort of weird transitioning stage, right? From like maybe old order thinking or older ways that we've been doing things, right? And we have this new order way of thinking, a new way of doing things, but the powers that be, whoever that is, want to get rid of how things were done in the past, right?
Yeah.
It's probably like that transition from like where we went from like horses to the automobile,
right?
Something along those ways, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Where it's
and who knows how that worked out back then? I don't know, but like I think what they want to do now is just everything's so like internet based, like insanely. Like I remember growing up without the internet and when it first kind of happened with the dial-up and all these other things, right? Or no cell phone and all this
the
other
birth
stuff.
of the smartphone, only 10 years or so ago.
Yeah, it sucks. And I'm like on the damn thing, and I catch myself looking at the damn thing
all the time
when I don't want to watch it.
Yep.
But what the hell do you do?
Do you want to go back to when you got started? So you were going to be a geologist, and
how
did you actually like do your first one or get into it to begin with?
So what the hell was I? 22, 23, so just out of college, right? Trying to figure out what the hell am I gonna do, and a friend of mine's wrestling coach at the time. He's like, "Hey man, why don't you look into taxidermy?" I'm like, taxidermy? Like, I don't know. I'm like, I'll give it a shot. I mean, like, I did some hunting. I was more like into fishing, like as a kid. We had a few deer head mounts that my dad had shot over the last, 20 years, but nothing like what you see here, right?
Right.
And so I'm like, all right, I'll give it a shot, and I went to like a general school up in Wisconsin. I'm like, they held course. I knew nothing about anything. I couldn't tell you what looked good and what looked bad. No eye for whatever, right? But got my foot in the door, and
how long was that schooling?
You could do like week long courses, and like say deer heads a week and birds a week or mammals a week, fish a week, so something like that. So we did it for like 6 weeks,
like
right?
a crash course, not like detailed.
Oh, completely crash and burn. So when I got out, I was like, okay, now I have like access to this whole new industry type thing. But like it was like, dude, I know there's better work out there. I just don't know the techniques and all the little nuances to do it. And it honestly, it just all stems down to like what the hell you're taught. It don't matter what it is. I mean, like I relate a lot of things back to like sports, just because I was in wrestling since I was like first or second grade all the way through like college, and it was like, gosh, like 15 or 16 years of wrestling. I don't even remember, right? And a lot of that was, I knew certain stuff, but when you started getting into like different levels of everything, you definitely need a certain person coaching you. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. There's some like kids out there that are freaking naturals, and they don't really need it didn't matter what kind of coach they needed. You know what I mean? They're going to do good regardless. But other people aren't. Everybody's different. Some people need somebody. Other people don't. And other people, even if they have that somebody, it don't matter. That guy ain't going to get them. That guy's just still going to go out there and not do good. So. Did
you have like a sensei in it, like someone who took you through and kind of show you the ropes?
Yeah. I mean, like, like growing up, you get on like different schools. It's it's different coaches and things like that. But like turning point was like college for sure. It was bad, man. I was used to winning. Like I had like 10, maybe 15 losses in my whole high school career. And like over 100 wins.
Wow.
And when I got in college, different ball game. You're 18 years old. You're wrestling other guys that are state place winners, state champions, or guys that are, in their 20s that are tough as nails, and it was different. But like my technique was bad. I was good in certain areas, but I needed others to work on. And I think it was like my second year where, dude, it was bad. I think I was like 2-15 or something like that, and it was like it sucked. I couldn't believe it. I didn't know what the hell was going on. Part of it, like I had mono earlier that year, so like it didn't help. But like, it sucked. I was like,
Did you want to make a career out of it?
I wanted to afterwards, but it didn't pan out. I don't want to coach anymore. I don't want to assistant coach or anything like that. There's a lot of, unfortunately, in like the school system. Like I got the credentials to do it, absolutely, for sure. I've been out of it now for like a while, so I'm not up to date. You know, like you want to have the guys that are fresh out of college that are up to date on their stuff, you know, coaching and stuff like that.
Right.
But yeah, like with school, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of politics, man, with, you know, there could be like head coaches where like, you know, maybe the farthest they ever got was like maybe they're on the varsity team in high school, right? But there's like this weird ego or jealousy thing. I don't know. It depends on things. You know, other places are cool, but it's like, dude, I'm just here to help. Like I don't want to, you know. But maybe it's just I mean, kids are smart. I mean, they're gonna know if like this person knows a little more than the other person. You know, they're not dumb. But yeah, it's a whole nother long story in itself.
What was the first animal you taxidermied?
First one, man. What did we do?
And was it yours or was it a customer's?
Oh, that's probably that's probably at that school, you know, doing stuff, but probably on my own. It might have been like probably fish. It's easier to obtain, and you know, if you mess up on it, it's no big deal. I mean, you're not like doing like trophy fish, but like for practice purposes.
Right.
Go out, get a bluegill or something like that. Work on that. But
what is the easiest and the hardest that you've worked on?
Just depends, man. Certain areas, difficult stuff. You know, if you're gonna do like African Plains game, your elands are difficult because they got some hair, but it's mostly just like bare skin. It's just the way that animal is. It looks like a cow, basically, like a big cow, but it's got this dewlap thing on it. And though that takes a lot of work. There's a lot of loose skin. The forms are correct, but you got to know where to move that loose skin because they have a lot of wrinkles and things like that. But you got to make it look right.
Yeah, you can't just pull all the loose skin tighter.
Yeah, most guys will tell you like cats are tough getting the eye shape with the cats, basically, to where it looks like real, like it's gonna jump out at you.
Yeah.
You know, eyes are the windows to the soul on all this stuff.
Yeah, you can't make it like beautiful and have some goofy eyes.
Right. So there's little like finer nuances and stuff, you know. My thing is like, you know, you just got to try to do the best you can and whatnot. There's guys that I know that have been in this business where they were like phenomenal artists, but poor businessmen. So they went out of business. So it don't matter how good that guy is. Maybe he just
couldn't get the books right or whatever.
Yeah, who the hell knows, right? Or didn't charge accordingly in certain spots, right?
It's kind of a giant problem in business. People be great at their trade and then just suck at the business.
Yeah, and that's the hard thing because nobody really teaches you that. You're just out there figuring it out as you go. And I love talking business with a lot of different people, and I think you can make it like doing anything. I mean, it don't matter if you're start up a business, picking up dog shit or to mentoring or whatever, you know, it could be anything in between. But, I mean, like in today's world now, I mean, with like, you know, all this shutdown stuff, like I'll be damned if someone's learned to be a bartender or a culinary chef, you know?
Yeah.
Or travel agent, right? Hell, airline pilot too, right?
Let's talk about PETA and like the African hunting
and all that stuff
and legalities. What is what's illegal to
it's
taxidermy?
Yeah, so like Africa's like this huge continent made up of I don't know how many countries they got. It's got to be close to like 40 countries, right? So there's a lot. And so if like Africa's the shape of my hand, most of the hunting kind of happens South Africa, Namibia, Mozambique, certain countries open and close to hunting depending on politics, but you have about like 6 basic countries down there. A few countries up top that do stuff. Not a whole lot, but a lot of it's regulated, and I like it. There's good regulation. You need regulation over here. You know, like how many animals can we hunt to where you don't devastate the population where they can't breed back again, right? But you don't want the population so much to where, like for instance, like Africa, I'll use that for example. They'll go through like periods of drought and stuff like that, certain areas, okay, where they don't get the rainfall. So like the country I'm familiar with is Namibia over there, and it's mostly all desert. And it's like the second least populated country in the world. There's like maybe 1 million people that live there, and it's like all desert. And a lot of that is because they don't have a lot of fresh water, right? And so you get like these periods of drought. You know, if you have like, say, like a herd of animals, they need fresh water to drink out of, and they need the plant life too to eat to get through it.
Oh, absolutely.
And you know, they have an idea like, okay, if we take out like maybe 30%, the 70% are gonna live, right? And you'll be fine. But if you don't take out that 30%, heck, you might have 70% of them that die, right? Because there's all this competition for food and resources, exactly, right?
These rules are made country to country.
Yeah, you have rules made country to country over there. I mean, they know their stuff better than what we would know over here. Unfortunately, we have people over here where they just make up rules and it's all politic based. It's because there's a lot that goes into it. A lot of people don't understand stuff that well. And even in Africa, there's a lot of private land. It's all private land, basically. You have some national park areas and stuff like that. But even on these national parks, they'll do some culling of animals and stuff like that. It's like here, like the Chicago Forest Preserve District area, right? Cook County and whatnot. There's no hunting allowed there, right? You can't even hunt with a bow and arrow, right? But what the people don't know is they have like government sharpshooters that go in and they shoot off deer and control those deer populations, right? So it's like really...
I'm sure it is difficult to regulate, to say like, you know, if it comes to the government eliminating, let's say, 100 deer from this area, it'd be difficult to be like, okay, hunters, you can hunt, but you can't overhunt. Like, it's probably hard to put a number on that and limit it.
It depends. I mean, in each little region, they have like biologists and stuff like that. They have a pretty good idea. You know, they might do like aerial counts or whatnot during the winter time. But, you know, the big thing is like, you know, that's where, you know, you got like government sharpshooters that are being hired on taxpayer money shooting deer, right? Whereas like the opposite could be where like you have people in Chicago that would love to hunt a deer.
That would pay to do it.
That would pay a couple $1,000s, no problem, to do it. And you could set aside some time. They go through a program. Look, we're using a bow and arrow, so like whatever, you cordon off areas of the park so someone's not walking their dog in 20-degree weather or whatever, you know.
And then at that point, would you just have a limit on like, once we get 100 deers bagged in this area, then you guys have to stop?
Yeah, you could do it like that. I mean, like the conservation districts around here, they do that, and it grew up really big, and now it's like crazy. And then, you know, I remember when they first started doing it, and then now there's like more rules, you know, you start dealing with more people, and some people are idiots, you know, and it's just the way it is, man.
So what is the legality? Because I've never been hunting. So legality-wise, there's different seasons for different animals.
Yeah, and a lot of it's going to depend like what state you hunt in, you know, maybe even what county or what zone.
So the deer season varies state per state.
Yeah, so like Wisconsin opens up September 15th, right? Illinois is October 1st, and that's with bow. And then they made the exception this last year with like you can use a crossbow. It doesn't matter if you're disabled or a certain age. Like anybody can use a crossbow, right?
That's a rule going forward.
Yeah, so you can use a crossbow. There's no problem. So like the crossbow, like now you can shoot stuff and kill stuff at like 50 yards, no problem. Whereas if it was like a regular compound bow, you want to stick around 20, 25. You know, and everybody's their own individual. Only you know your limits on what you want to do and how you do that, right? But you know, so it's a lot of that's changed. It's really weird. It's interesting.
What could I not bring here for you to stuff?
You can bring like I have like the one hawk and owl, but there was like a permit process through like the DNR. So like you can't shoot a hawk or owl, right?
Or like an eagle
or songbirds. But like all the time, people are finding like dead ones, right? Maybe they hit a building, fell down dead, or maybe they died of like a winter starvation thing, or who hit a car, who knows what, right? So like people hold on to that. And they're like, okay, we can get this mounted, but it's going to have to end up being in like a government building, like a school, museum, conservation district, office, those kinds of places. Like you can't privately own it, right? But then, so when people hear that, like they don't want to spend their money having this made up to where it's gone. They're never going to see it, you know. On the rare exception, it happens where they also work at that same place. So this guy has also works as a school teacher there, so he'll enjoy it. And I think they got a grant on it, so they got the funding to do it. But more often than not, things just rot away. Whereas like Canada, you know, you found a hawk, eagle, owl, something like that. The private individual can still get the paperwork like normal, but now this person can actually keep it inside their house, right? But if you get caught like shooting stuff, like whatnot, like you're big trouble.
Yeah.
How long is that list of illegal animals in Illinois per se?
Man, I got like a handbook on stuff. It can go anywhere from like a wolf, right? Which technically wolves aren't here, right? But they are, you know, and then it could go down like a brown bat type thing but you know, there's like weird stuff, you know, so there's like a list, but it's not something people are going to be hunting, you know?
Right.
So I just deal with like here, you know, like coyote hunting, that's year round, right? But the coyotes that you're going to take in is like right now, the coyote, this is like mating season for coyote. Just so happens to coincide with like pretty good fur on their coats, their winter coats, right? Going in next month, it gets a little more mangy, right? But guys, you know, they're going to be shooting coyotes usually when they're out deer hunting anyways. So if they don't see a deer or maybe a coyote goes by, they'll shoot that, right? But like, you know, coyotes, you know, you get into things like, okay, well, why shoot this? Why shoot that? And you start going down this like debate, right? Like, I could say like, hey, why go deer hunting? Like you can buy food at the grocery store, right? You could buy, you know, hamburger meat, you know, venison you can't sell. It's only gifted.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know.
Unless like you have like a game farm elk or something like that where they can do it that way. That gets expensive. Or like game farm buffalo, right? But like any wild shot stuff, you can't sell as food to other people. You can only like give it to somebody, right?
Gotcha.
But what the hell? Yeah, so like okay, so like you get into like you know 90% of the time, you know, a hunter gets asked like, why do you go deer hunting? Oh, I do it for the food, right? And it's like, dude, that's part of the reason, right? But it's just like in my mind, it's just a bullshit thing because they don't want to come right out and say like, I enjoy doing this, right? Because that's not the politically correct thing to do.
You need a better justification.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And then they get into like
tradition or whatever they want to tell.
Then you get in this area of like sport hunting or trophy hunting, right? It sounds bad, but it's actually a good thing. So like in Africa, like here in the States, like, gosh, Wisconsin's bad, Illinois is bad. It's like deer hunting. If it's brown, it's down. Guys are shooting small bucks, big bucks, does that don't matter. You know what I mean? They're, some guys are like truly out there like just to fill their freezer with stuff, right? Which in my mind makes sense, especially if you're not paying a whole lot of money, leasing property to go hunt, or
Right.
you're doing a lot. If you're not like buying it out, some of these out of state deer tags, like, $400 or $500, and then you got to travel, you're doing a lot, right? Whereas like, man, it'd be a lot easier just to like go to that farmer and buy that like half slab of beef, right? But yeah, the main thing is like so like Africa, best game management in the world. They target the oldest male species of that population, right? So like you get them like right when they're in their prime or just past their prime, which happens to be a trophy animal anyways. It's like a big deer, right? So like deer really don't start getting big till 3.5, 4.5 years old. And, maybe they peak around like 5 or 6 tops. It just really depends, right? Some deer are never meant to get world-class antlers on them anyways. But, that deer's already been like breeding since he was like 1.5, 2.5 years old, right? So like the genetics are already out there. But at least you're selectively harvesting like certain... I guess, same could be like for fishing, right? Like if fish gets like this big, right? I mean, well, hell, it might have took him 20 years, but I'm sure he mated sometime in that 20 years where that genetics is out there. It's just like people, right? Guys, we can create babies from hell when we're like 15, probably all the way up to 80 years old if we wanted to, right? Women, different story. Their eggs are going to dry up when they get in their mid-30s. I mean, rarely do you see a woman having kids in their 40s or whatnot, and if they do, it's very risky, even by today to do that.
So going after something in its prime, the concept is like it's gonna die within the next 5 years, anyways,
or a couple years.
Its
yeah,
genetics
just
are already
depends.
out there.
and its genetics already been passed on.
Yeah, so like when you're out there, like. And that's why they call it hunting. Nothing's guaranteed, right? Otherwise they'd call it killing. Right?
Shoot. Yeah.
But yeah,
My
it's
dad
but
always
it's a
would say.
thing where you're not just shooting. There's a method to the madness because you only need one bull, right, to mate with a bunch of cows, right? So like only the cows, the females are gonna, or the does are gonna be, carrying that offspring. And then those babies are born the next year, right? So everything, like if you manage things properly, it's a perfect renewable resource. And
you're not out here decimating the population or anything.
yeah, but you're having like an awesome experience. You're helping, a lot of these places like depend on like Africa, especially depend on American hunters over there.
Oh yeah.
You have, like the blacks, the villagers there that, they live there and they work at these lodges and stuff like that. It provides like jobs there where the countries are just so economically depressed. It's terrible, right? So it's like a huge step up from living like this little shack in the middle, and it's like pure poverty, right? So these guys have it, if they get a job on a lodge, dude, they got it made because it's a comfortable living for them. They're not, they're eating well, stuff like that. And then like any excess food from the meat, gets sold at the markets. So like in that country, I think like 20 or 25% of like wild shot animals actually sold in the markets and stuff like that, which is pretty nice.
It's literally cool. Providing jobs and feeding people.
Right. And that's like, and it all works out, and that's certain areas there where they've shown this model where it's worked out, where like, hey, we actually have more game animals now since we started implementing these strategies 20, 30 years ago, right? Whereas like other countries say like they just put an all-out ban on something, right? And something happens bad, like good example is Botswana. They banned elephant hunting, right? Well, now, after like 10, 15 years, you have like a huge elephant population, but then it's not like they're all spreading out to these other countries. I mean, they may migrate back and forth, but dude, elephants can destroy an area bad, knocking over trees, just, they just go in like
Rampage.
bulldozers, and it's not good for the elephants themselves, but also like the other wildlife. You had the issue of the lion hunting, like you probably remember that Cecil the Lion episode, right? So that was always, so like how like these anti-hunters or like PETA, like they couldn't tell you what a wildebeest is or a red hartebeest is, right? And neither could the general public, okay?
Sure.
But the general public, you know what a zebra looks like, what a lion looks like, what an elephant looks like,
Right.
a rhino, right?
Yeah.
Maybe a leopard, right? So these are like iconic animals, giraffe, same thing. These are iconic.
We've seen them in a zoo.
Yeah, you've seen them in a zoo. You grew up reading the little books, watching the TV stuff, right?
Oh yeah.
So like what they've done successfully is like they've they pick out like an iconic animal, right? That even the general public knows about, but the general public doesn't really know all these like other things with the hunting. Like all they hear about is like some rich dude that, killed a lion.
Whatever makes a good headline.
Yeah, and you can spin it, but like if you're in this industry, it's a bunch of bullshit, right? But that message always gets stifled out because like the news feeds you whatever the hell it is.
Yeah. Right.
You
Bad
killed
news sells
Simba,
better.
you killed Bambi.
Right, and there's always like a thing along that storyline.
Always more to the story.
Oh, 100%. But they only teach you so much of the story, and it's just it's crazy.
What did happen with Cecil? It was
a lion that was collared, right? And these guys hunted nearby a national park. I don't know the full story and the full details, but it was a guy that I think he was from Minnesota, and I think he moved down to Florida, but he was a dentist. Okay, he had the money. He went to go do a lion hunt with this outfitter place, right? So like as me or you guys, if I took you guys over there hunting, we depend on the professional hunter over there for like the code of hunting ethics, right? Like he knows the law, he knows how this works. I'm his client, I'm under his care, right?
Right.
So like this guy is just doing what his professional hunters or guides had him do, right? He has literally no idea. All he
He's
knows
there
is what
for
a
the
good lion looks
experience.
like, and make sure you shoot straight and you pay attention, you listen.
the liabilities on the guide then.
Yeah, liabilities on the guide, unless like the professional hunter did something like screw you, I'm doing whatever I want, and I don't think that would ever happen and get that far with it.
Right.
But so like even over here, like you got like Yellowstone National Park, right? Well, you can't like hunt in Yellowstone National Park, but you have these boundaries, between Yellowstone National Park and say like a major city like
The outskirts.
Cody,
of the ocean.
Wyoming, or whatever, right? And everything in between. You got public, private land, whatever, right? So I guess they're called buffer zones because you can't have like a national park like right next to like Chicago, Illinois, or something. You know what I mean? There's no buffer zone in between that. And if you did, the buffer zone would be like the first half of that mile or two apart. You know what I mean? To where you don't have that human and animal interaction on a daily basis with traffic and whatnot. So, yeah, he went over there. He shot the lion. It was collared. Things happen like that. They
Collared
turned it,
being.
where they
monitored.
just collect data on it.
Okay.
And the other thing was apparently it's like a well-known lion in that park where they knew what that lion
It'd be
was.
like shooting Shamu.
Yeah, or like if you had like a famous elk in Yellowstone National Park or a grizzly bear, and then they opened up the season for that outside and someone got it, then yeah, you're gonna rile up some people like, oh, what the hell, you know what I mean? But like they didn't go in the park. This thing went out of the park.
Right,
You
and
get
it
what I'm
wasn't in the
saying?
buffer zone or anything like
Yeah,
that.
it's where they
were in
could
a
actually do
safe, legal
stuff,
area.
and then it's not like they hid the collar or anything.
So
Like
it
I said,
was-
these things happen, so they turn the collar over so they can have the data and let them know about it. But this shit just causes an uproar.
It was the guide that told him it was okay to do that then.
whether they could see the collar or not with all that mane and stuff, I got no idea. But like, I'm just going in generalities, and there's got to be people probably watching this that know way more about it than I know. But I'm just whatever.
Yeah, general scope.
Right, like how it could happen to anybody, right?
Right. Basically, they shot it because, assumably, they didn't know.
Well, it was a lion that was a mature lion, and that's what you want to, you know what I mean, go after. And then, so then this, you know, that was all they needed to, you know, push home to the public, and that's all in the news and stuff like that. Gosh, when was that? Like 7 years back, maybe?
It's never good when you shoot something that has a name, you know?
Right.
Not Cecil.
Yeah, I mean, it's like us as like people, right? You know, we want to like humanize things. We want to give things names. We want to think like, okay, this is our pet or whatever it is. But in reality, like even our like house cats, right? Like you could have a pet mouse that you love in the same house as with your pet cat. Well, if that mouse ever got out, I guarantee you that cat, no matter how nice Mr. Whiskers is, he might be eating the little mouse friend of yours, right?
Mr. Mini Whiskers.
Yeah, or if you have like some kind of like, you know, dude, who knows? I mean, it's just going down the rabbit hole. But that's how they got it, and then. So here's the crazy thing, right? You can still go hunting lions. You just can't bring them back into the U.S. But if you lived in Canada, you live in Mexico, you live in Russia, Australia pulled the same crap as the U.S. did. But it was people that are in charge of the laws said, like, okay, we're not going to import lions anymore.
Ever since Cecil?
Correct. That was like done like that following year or that, within a year of that, right? And then that was done, right? So, which... Okay, yes, obviously if you're not killing something, it still exists. Do you get what I'm saying? So when you deal with lion, it gets on a weird subject. Like there's lions over there that they're bred and they're turned loose on huge preserves and stuff for hunting. You know, so they were born in captivity, but after like a year of captivity, they're turned loose out in the wild, basically. Or even a few years, right? To where now it can be hunted, right? And then you have actual wild lions that were born in the wild and they're in the wild type of thing. Two different types of hunting, two different things. It's kind of like that white pheasant you've seen there, right?
Yep.
You can go on a farm where, okay, these pheasants were not native here. They're born and raised here, and then they're turned loose, right? So like with lion hunting, it's kind of like the same thing over there. They do a lot of stuff over here too, or whatever, with like you know, if you went down to Texas, you could shoot all sorts of critters down in Texas on some of these big game preserves, like stuff that's not even native to the U.S., stuff that's been imported in and you know, farm raised or whatever. So it's an interesting topic.
Is it true that a portion of the proceeds of like the tags goes to conservation efforts?
That's a small part of it. A lot of it's so the perfect example. So with the lion hunting stuff, right? So in these parts of Africa where you have these like all out wild lions, kind of like the Ghost in the Darkness type stuff, right? I'm sure you guys seen that movie where you know, they've like eaten people and stuff like that. You don't have a whole lot of like man-eaters, and you have like this whole area where the lions used to go all the way up to North Africa, right? But now they're just only in small pockets here and there and stuff like that. There's a whole reason behind that, because you have like the natives, right? They live out there, right? And maybe their whole world is their goat or their sheep, right, that they're herding, right? And this is Africa's third world. You know, they're in hut villages and stuff like that, except for like the big cities, right? And the thing is, like, if they have like a predator, right, you know, kill their goat or their sheep or whatever, or maybe they're just out nearby and we just don't want this here, right? Like they will, they don't have guns. They may make a makeshift type gun, right? But the easiest way, snares, traps, like booby traps type thing, and the ingenuity is unbelievable, right? What they make stuff out of. But the biggest thing would be like poisoning like a water hole source, right? where like this animal drinks it after a day or two, it ends up dying, right? But the problem, you do this little water hole source, other critters are going to be drinking out of it too, not knowing, right? But the big thing is like, all right, man, is it like me or this lion here, right?
Right.
So
I
like
need this goat milk or whatever.
Or just for the food.
Yeah, for food.
Yeah, these guys don't even have like phones or TV or nothing. I mean, like, depends where you go. But like these professional hunters, they know like certain areas and stuff like that, and they deal with certain tribes or different peoples, right, and governments and stuff like that. So they know it's as easy as like a phone call in a sense, like, hey, we got this lion over by us. They know not to just like kill the lion off because they know that lion's got value, right? Because they know someone from the U.S. or somewhere else will pay money to go hunt and kill that lion for that experience, right? So instead of just like taking matters into their own hands, they may wait a few days, or okay, we can sacrifice some goats, or people on high alert, like this thing's out there, and within a few days this professional hunter will come in, they'll take care of the lion, this guy's happy, everybody wins. Whereas it's just not wasted, right? So it's like it's not this shoot, shovel, and shut up. Like these guys could care, dude. You're living out in the middle of nowhere. They could the laws of the world do not exist to them. Does that make sense? It would be like if we were stuck on a deserted island.
Yeah, kill the lion so it doesn't eat my food.
Yeah, it's just like what is it, man? It's
literally about survival
for real. So it gets at like certain areas like that, it gets crazy, but that's what a lot of people don't realize. Then you have this whole poaching thing that some people get confused with the whole hunting thing, right?
Oh, for sure.
So like legally, like certain areas you can hunt elephants. There's a certain quotas and stuff, right? But where the poaching stuff comes in, that's just the best way I can describe that. It's kind of like the drug trade, and more people are more familiar with the drug trade, where like you get someone like getting the drugs across the border of Mexico or however they get into this country, right? By whatever means necessary, right? So like the head main guys, you would never see the guys at the very top. They're in their mansions doing whatever, and there's this whole chain of people that come down to the lowest form, or it's like, hey, I know a guy that's got cocaine or weed or whatever the hell it is you want, right? And you buy it from them at a smaller level, right? So like maybe this guy that's why they always want to backtrack to where all this stuff comes from, right?
Yeah.
So like these guys that get caught poaching, or the people doing the actual physical work of poaching, dude, it's just taking advantage on poverty. It's terrible. So like a lot of guys, if you're like a native living in Africa, a good paying job there is maybe like $2 US a day, right? The exchange rate's very low. I mean, they don't need a whole lot to live over there, but that's a good paying job for someone over there. There's no welfare. There's no system. You either work or you don't eat or whatever, right? And so say you're in this like area, right? You're living like, just dream like you're over there living in poverty, right? And someone's like, hey man, this guy I ran into, he's got a gig. We just got to take out this one elephant or one rhino, right? And he's going to supply us with the machine guns and whatnot and all the stuff to do it. And he's going to pay us like $5,000, right? Each, right? Shit, $5,000 to them, that's like a couple $100,000 to us, no problem. Like you wouldn't have to work ever, right? But that's where they get screwed. They agree to that, and they go out, they do this job, right? And that's why whenever we see pictures of like a dead elephant or a dead rhino, the horn cut off, tusk ripped out, right? And the whole body there just going to waste, all that meat's gone, right? It's because the law of the land over there, if you see a poacher or someone on your property, it's literally the Wild West. You will get shot. They know the dangers. Yeah, so they may get shot by a game warden type person if it's on a national park. If it's on private property, the guy, the rancher, the professional hunter, that sort of thing, right? And so they go out, they see the animal, they want to, get the tusks or whatever hit they needed to fulfill for these people to get their money, right? And they do it, so they gotta like work quick, because after that first gunshot, right, like that can be heard from miles away, right? So they bust ass, cut the stuff off, get the hell out of Dodge, right? So they go back, everything's normal, right? Okay, they got paid their money, they're doing good. Well, guess what? There's another knock at the door. Hey, we have another job for you guys to do. We're like, well, no, I don't want to do this anymore, right? I did my one thing. I don't want to do it anymore. Well, it's too late. It's kind of like mafia type stuff, or like an initiation to a gang. Once you get in, you don't get out.
Right. They have something on you.
They know everything about you. Like, it's just higher powers that could end their life, their family's life, whatever, right?
Who's that, like, potentially at the top? Just rich people and...
Yeah, I mean, it could be, like, people, like, in, like, East Asia, possibly, like, or even, like, Saudis or something like that, too, where...
so out the country.
China, possibly, Korea, who knows what, right? Because, like...
Right, if we knew, it wouldn't be an issue, you would hope.
Even if you did know, like, how the hell would you stop it, right? And then the dumbest thing is, so, like, here's the dumb thing, right? So so for, like, someone wanting to do something legally, right, now you have a whole bunch of regulations on this stuff, right? So, like, what's been going on has been this whole black market, right, for ivory or rhino horn, stuff like that. And this is stuff like, I never knew this stuff till I went over there and I was explained this stuff, then I understand it.
You saw
right?
it firsthand.
Oh, yeah. And
heard it firsthand.
So like a rhinoceros, right? You could tranquilize the rhinoceros. You could cut the horn off, right? And it will regrow again, right? And you can get another cutting and up to like a third cutting, right? But the problem is they don't legalize the sale of rhino horn, right? And rhino's
so there's no right way to do it.
Well, because about the poaching issue, right? So rhino's a very easy animal for these people to farm and breed. Piece of cake, right? And instead of like legalizing the sale of rhino horn, right, like on the open market,
and turning it into something,
dude,
that
you'd have more freaking rhinos
country.
than you know what to do with. I'm not kidding. You'd have more rhinos than you know what to do with.
Oh, I believe it. You got people starving over there and shit.
When you cut off a horn of a rhino, it's like their hair, right? So like,
it's like a hard keratin. So like any horned animal, it's always constantly growing. But once something breaks off or something like that, that's kind of the way it is. Whereas like you got antlered animals like our deer, elk, or moose. They grow all that. They shed right about now. Then they grow it all back to size again later on. It's more of a bone. Yeah, it's insane. It's insane. But so if they just implemented some of that stuff. I mean, hell, the poaching with the rhino horn got so bad. I think it was over in like France or something like a few years back. These guys went into the zoo, killed the damn rhino in the zoo, and cut the horn off.
Oh my god.
You get what I'm saying? So it's like you had like Fort Knox out in the dang open.
Some damn expensive rhino horns.
So you could harvest rhino horn safely and humanely.
Oh, 100%.
Because it's illegal, people just.
Well, I mean they're cutting off rhino horn now, right? Because they figure if the horn's cut off, no one's going to come and shoot that rhino and steal the horn because it's already been ground down to a nub. You get what I'm saying?
Right, there's nothing of value.
Yeah, they're doing all this like preventive stuff.
Yeah, so they'll cut the horn and then just dispose of it or something. Just
probably. Yeah. I know, like whenever they catch these like, and they made movies of it where like say it's a warehouse full of like elephant tusk, right? And then they burn it, right? Well, the ivory never really burns. You could like rub that off or whatever and get to something else later on. But okay, you caught all this like black market stuff, right? Well, you know what? Take it and sell it on the open market, man.
Yeah, do some good with it somehow.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you just burn. Like you're not solving anything, right? But like, you know, what do you do?
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying it's gonna. I'm not saying that wouldn't
It's
solve
like the
all your
drug
poaching
trade,
problems, right? But at least you could have things going in the right direction, I think, right? You know, drugs, you know, it's just like, you know, it's like just like things like gun control, right? Some dude's gonna kill himself or somebody. Dude, there's 1,000 different ways, literally, right? But we've made, you know, like the AR-15, this bad gun because it looks scary. And yeah, you can shoot off 15 rounds or get a bigger round magazine for it, and yeah, you could do a lot of damage for sure, right? But I mean, so could like you know, that moving truck those guys did, you know, I mean, like just all sorts of different ways. I mean, you know, and first of all, it's, you know, against the freaking law to kill somebody anyways.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You can't.
But what do you do?
We're in this age of making things more illegal, almost, you know,
Yeah, which
with
kind of
like
Right.
gun
drives
control,
people to
even
do
though it's
worse.
already illegal.
What is the appeal of ivory? Just the look, or is it like really?
I think
tough?
it's just. I think it's like cultural thing. I think it's a cultural thing we won't really understand unless we lived in it and did it. I think with the ivory for like elephant tusk, it's I don't know. It's just like a designer thing. You know, they carve things in it and stuff like that. You could still like dart an elephant and cut the tusk part of it off. You know what I mean? And without killing it. You know, I don't know how much it would really regrow or anything, but you know, the rhino's the big thing because I think there was like the northern white rhino. I think there's one left. It's going to be extinct soon. Yeah, but you have a southern white rhino, right? So you have like, you know, and then you have a black rhinoceros. You know, you have like different subspecies of, you know, the same animal, right? But it's just lives in different areas, or this looks a little different than this, and
Right.
and that sort of deal.
You tell us before that you've caught in flack from PETA or a group like that.
Yeah, they like to like freaking bomb my Facebook page every once in a while. You know, like they put on like a 1-star review, and it's like, you know, like then you click on their profile, it's some nut jobber. But I mean, that's their way of like whatever. But I've heard of like, I mean, like anything could happen. There could be like crazy stuff or whatever. But like, no, nobody messes with me, which is nice. I mean, like fortunately. But I mean, like, you know, the biggest thing that's just going to be like shit talking online or whatever and whatever.
Oh, okay.
You know, anyone with like a brain can kind of be like, okay, yeah, okay, why did you get a one? Oh, who is this? Oh, okay, that's whatever.
Yep. We got one last week.
I just ignore them.
Dude not wearing a mask, you know, like people are gonna be unreasonable.
Like we ask people to
online.
wear masks, we supply them at the door just to be extra safe because
okay.
be conscious of our customers.
Oh,
Right.
to your
This
shop.
one dude, you know, it'd been an issue with him the past several times he'd been in, and you know, we finally had to tell him to leave. And you know, our manager was saying that, you know, hey, heads up, there's this dude. Lo and behold, there's the 1-star review. Nothing to say about it. I'm like,
oh, for about the mat. Oh, so like where
Yeah.
you guys work, you have to have the people wear them.
Yeah.
right,
Okay.
like as a retail spot, you know, that's just the rules.
It's
that
more
we've
like
set in
controlled, like
place.
government wise,
Yeah.
right?
And again, we provide them at the door, so it's not like you have to run out to his car or anything. It's just like, while you're in here, could you please? Also, we have a drive-through, we have a delivery service, and we ship.
Curbside
So it's like, if
pickup
you don't
that
want to come in and
doesn't
deal
need-
with that, we'll send it to you.
Yeah, and you
Right.
guys seem pretty reasonable. Like, hey, just tell us what you want, you know,
Yeah.
we'll drop it off.
We're
I
very
mean, it'd be to
accommodating,
the
yeah.
point where if he said, I absolutely don't want to wear a mask, you know, our dudes would have been like, all right, what do you need? I'll, like, ring it up for you here.
Yeah,
and I'll
yeah,
literally
yeah.
walk it
to your
outside just so
car.
that our other customers
For
are
sure, for
not
sure.
uncomfortable with it.
Yeah, the whole mask thing, man, like, you know, a lot of people thought, oh, that we're going to, you know, by the election time or whatever, this mask thing wasn't going to be an issue or whatever. No, bullshit,
boy.
dude. We're in for the long haul.
Yeah.
I bet you everyone's going to be wearing the damn mask
Even,
years from now.
you're probably right. It's probably
And I
never
think it's
gonna completely
bullshit.
go away.
And here's the thing, like I said, we're going over to like this new order way of thinking or whatever the hell this culture wants to propel us into.
right.
Right.
Transition to
Right.
Something.
And you're literally brainwashing an entire generation of kids where this is normal because they don't know anything different, right?
100%.
You and me, we know different, right? Because we've lived through it, and anyone older, right? And the thing is, like, okay, yeah, my mask thing, I feel that it should be a thing where like you're your own person, you know your body best, right? And yeah, you know, who knows? There's guys that may have some sort of pre-existing thing they didn't even know about. You know, you hear it all the time, you know, a blood clot or, you know, who knows what, and they drop dead or whatever, right? Yep. So I get that. But the thing is, like, we're trading our freedoms for security to an insane degree, right? So like schools, why couldn't schools have been open? Because it's not like kids are dropping dead from this, and if they want to stay home, they can. You know, it's like in my mind, it's like you're at the hotel swimming pool, swim at your own risk, no lifeguard on duty.
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
That's like the whole life, man. I don't have a problem with people wearing masks, but I think, you know, it should come down to personal responsibility. If you want to wear a mask to protect yourself,
right,
go ahead, dude.
Right.
Awesome. But don't start mandating everybody to and becoming, you know, a Nazi about wearing it.
Oh yeah, like mask up over your nose, please.
Right.
you know,
double mask, triple mask.
I wonder
like,
when that's what's coming.
And that's like a real thing. Like they're genuinely encouraging you to wear multiple masks.
I think the big thing, we got to wear those like safety goggles now because it can float around, and land in your eye. Right?
Yep. Next thing you know, it'll be space on.
But it's like the junk science is like they talk about like this viral load thing, right? Okay, like they're thinking like, oh, if you're exposed to all these infected people, you're gonna get it. No, dickhead. Unless everything I learned is bullshit, right? It's all it takes is one little virus, gets in your system, attaches itself to a cell, and boom, the cell bursts, and it's got however many copies of that same virus out, right? So it could be 50, it could be 100. I don't know what the hell it is. I'm not a microbiologist. But so like your viral load at that point, you could be like undetected, right? You're not going to have symptoms, who knows what, right?
Right.
But then like say like a week later, like doing it's all over. You know what I mean? You're going through the worst of it, you know? Right. It's kind of like what you learn about like the whole AIDS thing, right? Mm-hmm. You know, where you have someone who has full-blown AIDS, that means like, dude, like you just, the virus replicated so damn much, and that's what it is, man. Yeah. And the however they measure that in your blood system thing, right?
Right.
But
like you said, the new generation living through this, it's going to be a new norm. You know, like this is their normal now.
Yeah, they'll be like, what? People actually like shook hands. People walked into like, what the hell? Yeah. You know, it's like the stories like I hear like when people could drink and drive and they just get a slap on the wrist. I like remember when it was a law to have your seatbelt on. It was like personal preference, right? Mm-hmm. And that's the funny thing is like they make these like BS analogies like, well, you know, you follow the law, you wear a seatbelt even though whatever, right? Well, yeah, it's it's funny because it's a law. Then they're like, well, this is a law because you're wearing a mask. No, it's a governor's orders, right? Mm-hmm. Or whatnot. And then if it gets into like law, then it's still bullshit, I think. But what can you do?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, my biggest, you know, I like our. You know, I definitely support like police. You need police, you know, because they do help out and things like that. And you have bad police, absolutely. You have good police, absolutely. You got everybody in between. It's in everything, right? It doesn't matter who the hell you are,
and
right?
It's all
in that
perfect,
industry,
you know?
right? But what pissed me off this last year, right? You had like that whole Kenosha riot thing, and you know, the police did not enforce any of it, and then you end up with this crazy shit where like civilians are protecting themselves or they're shooting, you know, whatever the hell it is, right? Mm-hmm. Complete chaos, right? Which is what I think they wanted, right? But it should have never happened had the police been out there, like at least doing something, right? Mm-hmm. But they were enforcing what their mayor or governor told them to do, like, we're just going to let these people do it, right? Mm-hmm. But then, like on the other hand, right, I hear about stuff where like, okay, like Illinois, right, or even like some areas of Wisconsin, where like this police department here for this county or whatever, like, okay, we're not going to enforce this law where we're going to ticket someone for not wearing a mask, regardless what the governor or mayor said, right? Or we're not going to enforce, if you walked into a business not wearing a mask, you're going to go to jail type of thing, right? So what I'm getting at is the hypocrisy, right? So you're gonna enforce the things that you don't want to really get involved in, like this riot crazy shit, right? But you're gonna listen to the governor or the mayor on that stuff,
picking and choosing.
Exactly, right? Yeah. So if you're gonna do it, you just better, do it all the way,
right?
In my mind. But
one of the funnier ones to me was when they created that autonomous community of Chaz, I think it was called.
Yeah, is that still going on or no?
No,
I think
it's pretty much completely disbanded. Yeah, but like within days, there was murders in there.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Obviously, all kinds of drugs and I think overdoses and stuff like that. It's like literally, you guys got what you wanted. You'd see how that worked out. Like obviously,
kind of like a Darwinism at its finest.
Yeah. It's good that they did that. I think
But so like here's the kicker, right? Like. It's like when you're in the military, right? You're sworn in oath, like I'm here to protect against terrorists, foreign, domestic, don't matter, right? Police officers still go through like an oath thing where they got to protect citizens, right? Public and private property, people, right? That's your job, right? So how the hell could you just sit there and let these people, like their businesses burn to shit, right? Let things just go to shit and like wake up the next day and just be like, well, we're just doing what we're told, right? Now you're getting into like dude, that was like what the people in Nazi Germany, right? Hey, we're just following orders.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? I'm sorry we did the whole Holocaust thing and we're rounding up Jews and everything else and doing all this. I'm just under orders. Right? So this is what I'm getting at. Look, I don't think the world's going to end anytime soon. We probably at least got another 20, 30 years,
right.
I would imagine, right? But we're going to see like some crazy shit here. Like we're still going to see some serious fallout from this stuff, like way worse here, like probably in another year.
Yep.
I've been talking with certain people that, maybe they're police or fire departments, stuff like that, like the mental health, like people have gone through like this last year with suicides to whatever, like, I mean, like people
are snapping, man.
Yeah, like, and then the weird thing is like you have people had unbelievable years, great years, they're doing great, right? Like it never affected them, right?
Or helped them, if anything.
Right, but that's gonna hit that's gonna bottom out.
Yeah.
Okay. It may not be this year, but next year it's just going to bottom out, and you're not going to have that. You're just not. So you better, if you're doing good now, squirrel that whatever away, and because at some point it's going to hit a wall, right?
Yeah, there's got to be a repercussions.
Oh, 100%.
Right. The government can only fake the money so much.
Yeah, and all this crap's interconnected and stuff like that. Like my business, look, it's not a need. It's a want. It's a luxury item. You don't have to. This is expendable income stuff, right?
100%.
This is not whatever. Like I got to get my bread and my milk because I got babies to feed, or I got electricity bills to pay, or gas for my car, right? Or a cell phone bill to pay. But yeah, I mean, we're gonna see some. I mean, it could. Who the hell knows what it is? But like, yeah, I tell you this much. I mean, you're not. And that's what's going to affect things from here on out. You get like people growing up like this mantra, like, okay, you go to college, you got to go to college, which was true for that boomer generation, right? I get that, right? But then now the mantra is now like, okay, you got to get in trade school, you got to get trade school, right? That's probably going to change in 20 years because now you got all these damn people in the trade schools, right? Or you got to get into nursing, you got to get into, you know what I mean?
It's always
and then like by the time, who knows what the hell the right thing is? It's like, I think in my age, like, if you went to, tech industry, right? That may still be true, right? I don't know. But all the tech stuff, that could be outsourced to people in India, the other side of the world, right?
Yeah, we were just talking about this. I think that there'll be a come around on the tech thing. Like, obviously, it's a thing to get in now, and it has been for the last 10 years. What happens when everyone's into tech and there's no one to build houses?
Exactly.
You know, that's back to building
Exactly.
houses.
But, you know, everyone like poo-pooed on the blue-collar type guys, right? Where construction, like, because, like, well, dude, you know, it takes a creative mind to do construction. It's a lot of hard work, and you have to have a team of people. You have to have, like, good leadership skills. You got to be an all-around type person and stuff like that. But I think with, like, workforce and stuff, you know, the bar has been lowered. If you just show up to work now on time and you go through the motions, you're considered a good employee, right? Mm-hmm. There's no one, like, trying to go above that standard.
Very little.
Does that make sense?
Yes,
absolutely.
Because everyone's just like, shit, the dude didn't even show up. What the hell? And it's not so much like he didn't show up. Like, I don't know, like, if you got a car wreck on the way to work, you know, who the hell knows? You know what I mean? Like, some people are concerned about well-beings of others as opposed to, like, work, you know, but, you know, it's just, you got common courtesy stuff that, you know, it's gone. It's just gone.
With the pandemic and all that, do you see any changes to your business?
Oh yeah, it's well, it happened already. So like normally like Canadian bear hunts, right? You know, I might have like a group of 6 guys go up, like a yearly thing, shoot bears or what. Or if someone just wanted to do it for the first, just for whatever reason, like if
just try it out.
Yeah, just try it out for the first time. Like it didn't happen. Okay, so no bears came in. Taxidermy shop, lower 48, unless it was like lower 48 hunting like Montana, Wisconsin, Minnesota, New Jersey, you know, things like that. That was local bears, right? Out of country bears, nothing. Okay. Same with like out of country fishing, no fish replicas. Even though we can't bring this fish back out of this lake because it's got to be catch and release. You know, you're not having orders for fish replicas, right? For the taxidermy guy. Africa, no shipments coming back from Africa. So this whole next year, unless there's like a certain shipments held up for whatever reason, nobody's going to be getting a single African shipment, right? So on the flip side, right, so everyone's like working from home, right? You know, nobody's really driving in so much of the office and stuff like that. And so people have this time on their hands, so we're spending more time outside locally hunting deer than they ever were. And then you have people that, like, let's face it, there was really nothing to do, so they just took up hunting for the first time, right? And that does happen every year. Like, you get someone that, for whatever reason, he's in his 30s or 40s, like, you know, I'm going to look into this hunting thing and just try this out. Maybe they got a buddy, or maybe they do it on their own. Who knows, right? Or maybe they got property and they keep seeing a turkey or a deer, and then they look into it like, hey, you know, who knows? This, right? It happens. You know,
probably more than often now because people are taking up new hobbies.
Oh yeah, right? But then the problem was like ammunition was like gone.
I was gonna ask about that.
It was just gone, non-existent. I think it's worse now. So, but you know, people I think took more up with a bow or crossbow stuff, right? You know, I just got a crossbow. I mean, I gotta shoot it here this spring or whatever. But I don't really have the time to be practicing with the compound archery thing. And
it takes time.
And with the compound archery thing, like deer hunting, you're up in a tree stand. You got to have a certain funnel system where you know that deer is going to be within like a yardage shot, where you can make it appropriately, right? Certain areas of land aren't set up like that.
Right.
In the hunting industry itself, we have a lot of people like, it's crazy. It's like at war with other people. You got traditional archers against the compound archery guy. You got the compound archery guy against the crossbow guy. And then you got those guys against the guy that, you know, using guns or long range stuff or whatever. So there's like a whole whatever, you know, or people like against game farm hunting versus wild hunting versus hunting with the guided outfitter versus do it yourself public. You know what I mean? It's just everything in between. But I will say this, like if you just start, you know, this divide and conquer crap, it's going to be like the gun thing. You're going to see like some crazy gun stuff happen here. You know, there's like whatever rumors in the gun world, like there will probably be some sort of mass shooting, which will be like, okay, now we got to outlaw this or we're going to tax all these guns you got. And it's crazy. And it will probably happen.
Yeah, it probably will.
Yeah.
And then that's probably when shit's gonna hit the fan. They're gonna have a thing like Illinois' got a firearms owner ID card, right? Anyone that's been born and raised in Illinois, they know nothing different. So when they go out to Wyoming for the first time or somewhere out like Montana, they're shocked to see someone ride around their truck and they got a rifle uncased on the back of the truck, right? I mean, it's not loaded, or shouldn't be anyways, or at least not one in the chamber, right? But it's just like here, you got to have like unloaded, cased. You got to have the firearms owner card, right?
Yep.
Before you can buy a gun or buy ammunition, I think, too, right?
Are we the only state or one of 3 or something like that?
Maybe. I'm not sure what the other ones are, but, you know, whereas, like, if you live, and then that follows you. So if you go to, like, wherever, they ask, okay, where are you from? So say, for instance, say you were on a trip, right? A hunting trip. You get there, and something happened to your firearm, right? Like it's broken or busted, right? Something happened and you need to maybe go to like a local Cabela's or something, get a replacement or something along those lines, right? But then now you got to wait 3 days for this, before you're gone, you can get it, right? Well, now that could be a problem, right? Or whatnot. It's just, I don't know. And I get it. They're safeguarding the law. So like, you know, someone's pissed off. They're not buying a gun to shoot somebody or shoot themselves or anything like that,
Take
right?
a few days to cool off.
But I don't think that's really how it works. You know, I mean, especially if you already own the guns, right? You know, something's going to happen to somebody. And they're just gonna freaking snap for whatever damn reason, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know, they go postal, right? Because that was a big thing. You worked at the post office for so long, you probably went nuts, you know, when you found out whatever the hell it was that day and did something nuts, you know? I mean, it's just
Going postal.
Yeah, you know, who the hell knows? I mean, who the hell know? You know, you don't really know what the hell. And I mean, you know, that's why you got to be like, you know, I think that's a good rule. You know, you be nice to people, you know, throughout your day. You don't be a dickhead, right? Because you don't know that person you run into if he's having like the worst day of his life or not. You know,
Big truth.
Yeah, I want to say like 3 years ago, I never had road rage before, and I was going through like a really dark time in my life back then. And I was doing everything fine, pulling out, and this guy, you know, was like beeping his, like he could have just like moved over. He was just kind of being a dick, you know what I mean? And I just freaking lost it, dude. Like it was just on this guy's ass, constantly honking the horn. And at one point where we stopped, like I was like had the door open, ready to go over, and it was insane. I would never do it again. I never could even see myself doing something like that. And I think that was just like
wrong place,
beyond crazy. But it was just like, I mean,
there's
there's always lessons learned, man. Like, you know, but hopefully, like it doesn't like end in like a bad result where like people like really get hurt or something like that. And it's just not. It ain't worth it. Or who knows? You know, that you get road rage on somebody because they were being a dick. You know, who the hell to say they didn't have a damn gun and kill you?
Right.
You know what I mean? You could have any damn thing happen to you.
That happened to one of my friends, actually.
Really?
My dad got in a road rage bout about 10, 15 years ago now. Yeah, about a little over 10. And
Okay.
they pulled over and I think it was a 173 parking lot. Dude just capped him right there. Exactly like you said, you know, like it really happened.
Yeah, this stuff.
It's that fucking nuts.
Dude, things can change in an instant, seconds. I mean, it's, and that's the crazy thing. I mean, like a lot of things, you can have life-altering changes or ways of thinking, right, that can happen in like seconds or minutes or something like that. Yeah, I mean, you can get in like some serious philosophical stuff. Part of me believes, I think a lot of our fates are already like predetermined through life, which sounds insane, but you know, I had like some weird experiences happen like in the last few years where it's like, how is this even possible? Like, there's just no way this is even possible. And it doesn't have to be like necessarily like you're saving somebody's life and like say like you were the only, like this is like the person this guy needed for his life to be saved. You know what I mean? Or something along those lines. It could be like very simple little things or whatever. But I think that like that's that's the thing that pisses me off. Like, things are predetermined. It doesn't matter what you do, right? It doesn't matter if you stay at home or if you go outside your home, you go left, right, straight, whatever was going to happen to you that day was going to happen to you that day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, part of me believes that as well.
Certainly all pans out to a lot of fate, for sure.
Or things, you do have cause and effect things, obviously actions and reactions. You don't, but some stuff could happen where you're like, man, you never even guessed. Like, dude, you asked me like 3 years ago if I was going to have a shaved head and a beard like this. No.
Right. You just don't know, man. Shit, I
did the beard thing here the last 4 months or whatever. Usually it gets kind of itchy and I got to trim it down and stuff. But I'm like, whatever.
Mix it up.
Yeah. Whatever. I can't grow it up here, so might as well grow it here.
Right, catch it where you can.
But, that's...
Do you have any concluding thoughts? I think we've probably been at it
for a while now,
yeah.
huh?
Oh, yeah.
We could go on forever.
Very
concluding
true.
thoughts, man?
The one thing I was going to ask, the guy that shot Cecil the Lion, he didn't face any legal repercussions himself, right? It was just the whole...
No, I don't even know if he got to keep that lion or if it got confiscated, or I don't know the ins and outs on that. I do know the dude was getting death threats.
Oh, shit.
By PETA people or animal. Yeah, and look, animals, they're not people. They don't have the same rights as people do, right? But in the mind of an animal rights person, they believe like this animal's life is just as equally justified as this person's life, right? Mm-hmm. Whether it's a mouse to an elephant, and the thing is, man, like it's a thing. It's gone throughout the dawn of mankind. We wouldn't be here if our ancestors were not hunters and gatherers, right? Yeah. And then we discovered agriculture and whatnot. Me personally, like I'm not like I try to like eat like 75 to 80% like plant-based, and then like the other stuff meat.
Sure.
I know some guys get on this kick like, oh, I'm just gonna eat all meat for a month and see what the hell happens. I don't think I could.
I wouldn't recommend it. Sounds like bad news.
But it's just
realistically, if you're out in the wild and you encounter a baboon or a lion or whatever, he's gonna eat your ass. So like,
yes and no. I mean, like, like certain things could be provoked, but like where bad shit happens, like. We'll take like Alaska, for instance, right? So you're like walking down this stream and it's like salmon season where all the salmon are coming up the stream to spawn, right? So you get that attracts all the bears because that's easy food for them, right? And the bears aren't concerned about like eating the entire salmon. They just eat the best bites out of the salmon and then they're on to the next one, right? It's like if we had like steak or like a whole chicken, right? Like the first thing on the whole chicken I'm eating is the drumstick. That's usually the most, or like a piece of breast meat, right? The last thing I'm eating is like the ass end of the chicken, right? Unless I'm really hungry, right?
Nitpick it if there's an endless conveyor belt of them coming down.
So that's like how bears operate too when the salmon season's on, which I never knew that. I was just watching this one bear. He was just scooping out like I'll take a bite. Here's another one. I mean, they're all going to be dead anyways in a matter of, hours or days or something like that at that point with the spawn, right? But like some of this, certain areas of Alaska where, I remember walking down this trail. I mean, there ain't nobody around, it's just along this stream. And, it's pretty wooded and stuff like that. But I'm just like, a dumbass. Like I don't, I wasn't carrying like bear spray. I'm not carrying like gun on me. I'm just like, my mind's like fishing, right? I want to get to this like little honey hole spot on the stream, right?
Sure.
And yeah, ran into like some bears. Thank God they were on the other side of the river. But it was a mom with like 2 cubs, and the cubs can, they're probably like 50 pounds or so, right?
Grizzly bears?
Yeah, grizzlies.
Oh shit.
And see, like we live here, we're not familiar with the grizzly bears, but at least I'm familiar enough, like, danger, right?
Right. That's bad news.
And I've talked
right
to guys
there.
that have been mauled by bears, man. It's scary stuff. Like they get PTSD, dude. It's never the same for them again when they go out. Yeah. And I mean, it's very scary. And it don't take a big bear to
Oh no, dude.
to kill you, man. It just don't. And it don't matter how strong you are or how big you could be like a WWF,
No
like just
way.
badass.
That bear right there, take any human being to ever exist, period.
I
No
know,
questions.
it's not good.
At all.
But
And that's a relatively average black bear, right?
right. But like where these things happen is like where I could see differently. So like I seen this, so like we just scooted back the other way, right? And literally within 100 yards back, turning, looking, there they were already on the same where we were just standing, right? So had things been timed differently, we're 5 minutes later or something like that, and you're going through this stuff, dude, you could walk right into that, and then you're toast. You just are. What the hell are you gonna do?
Yeah. Fight them off with your fishing rod.
Dude, even if you had your 357 pistol or whatever, if I had to do it again, I would recommend like a home defense shotgun with like the biggest buckshot you could get, right? Because at least at close range it could make a pattern like this,
right?
And like a kill zone on a bear, it's his brain. It's like probably the size of your fist, roughly, right? Like right between the eyes, and to have like a nerves of steel shot to do that, I don't have the training for that. I couldn't do that. There's just no way.
It's a tough shot, no doubt.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'll take the shotty too.
I bet. I mean, like it would make someone feel more at ease just carrying that with you, anyways, right? It's just
100%.
like it's a mindset thing. It's just like this belief, like, hey, we're gonna be fine. It's like it's probably like if you were like in an airplane and the pilot's like, okay, man, we're going down. Please grab your ankles and kiss your ass goodbye, or put your head, like that. Yeah. Or it's like the stuff in school, right? Like the whatever, like hide under the desk, stuff, or like during like the Cold War, a possible nuclear thing. Yeah. Like
it feels better to have a plan.
Yeah, you just feel. Just makes you feel sick. It's like
peace of mind.
Yeah, but in reality, it's
barely
you're toast, dude.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It might be that fate after all, like you were saying, man. Sometimes you just, it's your time. Sometimes, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, don't be stupid about stuff either. You know what I mean? Because it could be. Who knows, man? I know people that like survived cancer, all this stuff that they should have died, right? And then they die from something else, like just like what the, you know what I mean?
Getting bitten by
a
tick.
Car accident, or who knows? You know what I mean? Just like how does this even happen, right? So like maybe you can cheat death a few times, and I don't know, man. I couldn't tell you.
None of us are making out of this alive.
No, I mean, I don't know. Just try to be the best person you can be, man. I guess whatever that is,
I agree with that.
However that is. And that sounds like a cliche thing, but a lot of that I think starts with like our bodies, right? If we're not eating good or like watching what happens, that can affect us like mentally too. It's like something like a kid like gets into like a pile of sugar, right? They're gonna be going whatever. But
100%.
And that's.
Or like you said, when you got into the road rage incident, you must have been in some type of mood.
Yeah,
it
was just
and
that's
just
one what thing it was.
You gotta try and stabilize for yourself.
Absolutely.
For optimal results thereafter.
Absolutely. Yeah, I guess closing arguments, man.
I do find it hypocritical of people to down hunters who like oftentimes have more respect for animals than anyone else, yet they'll like eat like you see Food Inc., where it's like the chickens are, I don't know if you've seen it. It's a documentary about how they raise farm animals. Chickens are like so weak they can't even stand up. They're crowded. You know what I mean? Yeah, millions of chickens.
GMO stuff and
like that's fine, conditions. But not killing your own food. You know, when there's much more cruel ways that people consume meat.
Or even if like say like you're all vegan, right? Well, dude, you know, you have fields where you got to plant the seeds. That just wiped out a whole habitat.
Yeah.
And then even with those plants there, guess what? Deer love eating lettuce probably more than we do, right? Or rabbits, stuff like that.
Sure.
So unless it's fenced in or whatever, and people aren't shooting stuff that shouldn't, there's always going to be some kind of fallout. You know, like the airport stuff. You know, you guys probably don't know this, but there's, you know, professionals that get hired to go to an airport and they kill everything, including bald eagles. You can't have any ducks there, deer, coyotes, whatever, the roadway, you know.
No shit.
Yeah, and that's just
from like airport to airport.
Oh yeah. You know, the amount of animals killed, I have no idea, but you know, I got friends that work at O'Hare Airport and they you know, that's just what it is, right?
But these people are still going to fly. It's not like they'll take a stand against flying because animals were killed in the process.
Right, but what do you do? You know, if you got like a flock of geese that come in, like, oh, okay, hold this, you know, and then they got to shoot this stuff off, and it's not goose season, obviously, you know what I mean? But it's just, you know, that's where it comes down to the safety of people and
it's
on
them
these
or
airlines.
Us. Yeah,
right. Yep. But that's gonna be like, I mean, I don't know, man. We're like definitely in uncharted times. Like, the Earth is like what 8 billion people, right? You know, and that could double here in the next 20 or 30 years too, right?
True.
And I think, you know, who knows? I mean, it could be conspiratorial stuff, but you could have powers that be where, you know, like just as us, like we're you know, we get taxed, right? Like the way I think of like people anymore, we're like kind of like farm raised individuals. We're like, hey, you give us a little TV, you give us a little bit of money, we'll work, and then things are taken away, right? Whereas like you have certain politicians and career politicians living high on the hog and who knows what, right? And but yeah, that's the weird thing. A lot of stuff revolves around money, you know. So like I would say, like, you know, if you're like an anti-PETA person, right? You know, don't donate to the World Wildlife Fund, where very few of that money actually goes to certain animals and stuff like that. Like if you're serious about like saving a rhino or an elephant or something like that, why don't you go and pay those outfitters and pay those people, you know, fees and stuff like that, whereas someone would come and hunt one and shoot one. But then again, you do have problem elephants too, where like this one elephant comes in and, you know, eats these fields and stuff like that or whatnot around this tribe's village, right? They'll put up with that as long as they get the money. So
right.
You know,
money.
You know, if that's the case, maybe like you give them money and then they'll put up with the elephant, or you figure something else out, right? But then you can get the whole opposite end where, what if you have all these elephants here and they just trampled everything, like the Botswana case, right? What do you do?
Yeah.
So it's just you know, a lot of people want to equate things back. Gosh, I think it was 1850s or something like that, where, you know, the U.S. government, you know, and everyone's shooting off all the American buffalo, right?
Right.
And that damn near went extinct, and it was literally Taxidermist and Teddy Roosevelt that brought that species back from extinction, right? Because they knew that this is not good. And Teddy Roosevelt was like one of the first, you know, conservation guys he was on it himself, right? But he founded these national parks that everyone loves and enjoy, where it could have been ruined. I mean, you could have had like the Rockefellers or whatever drilling freaking oil in that yellow, you know what I mean? And just turn it into a wasteland. You know what I mean? But like you got certain areas that are protected and stuff like that. So I don't know. It's just it's human nature, man. You know,
very
trying
tough
to be a decent person.
act.
That's all you can do.
Yeah.
So
beautiful facility, man.
It's
Everything's
so
awesome.
Absolutely.
If you guys need anything stuffed, come see Matt.
Yep.
All American Taxidermy, Harvard, Illinois. He does, I think, everything. I've met him because he was gonna outsource this, but you can do lizards and bearded dragons.
Yeah. I haven't done one before, so we were gonna like send it out for like a freeze drying thing. I didn't really want to experiment around or whatever.
My bearded dragon died, so I was gonna bring it to him to
work on.
Yeah, get him preserved.
Right.
Which I chose not to ultimately.
I don't blame you. I do get phone calls. People like want their cat or their dog. And it's just like, dude, I personally don't want to skin out like a house cat or a dog or mess with that.
Goofy.
And I know people are in love with that pet and they want it around for whatever reasons, right? I mean, I own dogs, I own cats. Like, I would just as soon bury them and get a new pet dog or cat. And put your money and attention towards that. I know some of the pet places that do a lot of freeze dry or guys that you're gonna get mad, but it's just. Yeah, I don't know. I would do that or get it cremated. A lot of people may think like the taxidermy part is like a cheaper alternative to like the cremation that can be expensive for like a dog or cat, but it's not. It's like way more.
And a long process.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, it can all be done. I mean, it just depends on time, money, and everything else, right? So.
Absolutely.
All right, gentlemen.
Thank you, Matt.
Marco. Curtis.
Hey, that was awesome, man.
All right, cool.